Let's be honest, parenting can be messy and hard, but also so rewarding. In this podcast, we'll share all the ups and downs of parenthood, as well as share some of our favorite tips and tricks for parenting using both our experiences and expertise from our professional lives as a speech and language pathologist and teacher, but also our everyday lives as moms, just trying to balance it all. We're so glad you could join us.
Hello and welcome to And Then We Had Kids. I'm Jenny, and I have to just first acknowledge that the allergies here in the Chicagoland area are just crushing me, as you can tell from my voice. I sound lovely.
It's a nice, sexy, raspy voice.
I mean, I don't know about that, but it's something. It's something. And so I got a little bit left for this episode. But yeah, we're excited that you are listening this evening or this morning, this afternoon, whenever you're listening. So yeah, I'm Jenny.
And I'm Sheena.
And we are so excited.
Yes.
I feel like we've just been on a roll. I just am so excited. Again, I say this every time we have a guest on, and we have a guest today, and Sheena can introduce her. But I just feel like we're so lucky to connect with other moms who do like incredible things that are just going to help us be better moms and better parents. So Sheena, who do we got?
I'm going to take it away. So we have Dana Schuchardt, who is the owner of Goldfish in Park Ridge. And for those of you that are driving by, in the suburbs, the city, you see Goldfish Swim Schools everywhere. And what I didn't realize is that, this month is Water Safety Awareness Month. And so what better time to talk about water safety and awareness, before we really dive deep into summer pools and beaches and whatnot. So, we're here with Dana. She's a mom. She's a small business owner, which we also love to support. So Dana, welcome to And Then We Had Kids.
Thank you, you guys. I'm honestly so excited to be on here.
There's just I think it's so incredible. We were just talking a little bit briefly prior to recording of your story that you're actually not even in the Chicagoland area, but you're still able to manage running the Goldfish Swim School in Park Ridge. You have your little ones. People can't see you, but you're in your car recording right now, which is also picture perfect of mom life. If you're needing to get stuff done, you get it done wherever you can, and it might just be your car. So thank you, Dana, for coming on. And yeah, like Sheena said, I know my kids love the water. I think my daughter was a fish in another life. So to hear some tips about water safety from you, we're all about it.
Awesome. Well, yeah. And I hope I'm parked and on good Wi-Fi, I hope. So let me know if you guys can't hear me.
Sounds good. So can you start and talk to us a little bit about what Goldfish does, and maybe what are some good tips and tricks for parents to know about, as we talk about water safety awareness? I think of my own kids. My younger one is similar to Jenny's in that he is a fish or was perhaps a merman in a previous life. While as my older one was definitely more hesitant and anxious around the water, but we have a lake house up in Wisconsin. And so water safety awareness is really important to me and my family. So what are some things that parents need to know?
Yeah. So first with Goldfish, we start lessons as early as 4 months old. I know that's super early. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends now that all kids start in regular year-round swim lessons by age 1. And
Ooh.
Yes, they may not know how to swim, but we're working on teaching them water safety, talking about it, talking about if you were ever caught in this situation, what do you do? Teaching them if you were to fall in, turn around and swim back to the wall. If you're at a pool, because their initial instinct is to swim to the wall that's furthest away that they're looking at. Teaching them to float, teaching them to hold on to the side. We work a lot on grip strength with our newborns, so they can hold on and wait for someone to rescue them. So in a lot of our lessons, whether you're starting at 4 months old or 8 years old, we are talking a lot about water safety, talking about some safety swim rules like only swimming with adults, only swimming when there's a lifeguard on duty. And then obviously some life essential safety swim tips and we talk about those in every single lesson. So it's a big focus in all of our lessons. We go all the way from teaching water safety, and then we go to teaching technique to all 4 strokes. But the goal is obviously to allow the kids to have a good relationship with water and learn to love the water, and be safe while doing so. And then, like you were saying, tips and tricks. So, oh my gosh, there's like a number of tips. I feel like then my top ones would be, obviously you're on the lakes, you said in the summer, right? So if you're on the lakes or around pools, number one things are life jackets, right? If you aren't
Yes.
confident in your child's ability to swim, make sure they're wearing a life jacket, but also make sure that all of those flotation devices say US Coast Guard approved. They'll say it on like the label in the inside. So it's super important to always make note that the life jackets you have for your kiddos are US Coast Guard approved.
Mhm.
I know it sounds silly, but also dress your kids in bright color clothing so that if they are in distress, you can see them more. Yes.
So I literally just saw like an Instagram post on this. What was this, Jenny? Like a few weeks ago. And I
Yeah.
sent it to Jenny, and I think I might have shared it on my own personal Instagram account. I had never thought of that. Like I
Yes.
was just always buying the cute ones, with
Me
the fun
too.
patterns. Never thought that the color could really impact water safety.
Yeah.
And I think like the difference for like also like the boy selection versus girl selection. So like my daughter loves pink. She loves like bright yellow, like neon's her thing. So like that makes sense like buy. Whereas like my son, it's like sharks and water and then it's blue.
Blue.
And what you sent me, Sheena, and what Dana, what you're saying obviously is like blue's probably not the best color because it's harder to like see your kid if God forbid anything is happening or does happen.
Right. I know it's something you don't think about. And like, you see all the memes now about like how mothers these days dress their children in neutrals and how we're like sucking the life out of them. It couldn't be more true. And then I like, we like think about these important things and it's like, yes, I'm going to get that bright pink swimsuit for you that you want because we're going to be water safe this summer. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like other things. I feel like I have a number. So you tell me when you want me to stop, but
Yeah, I mean, I think the for us at the lake, we have like a very, very strict family rule that anyone, we do a family swim test of being able to jump off the pier. And if you can swim back independently, then you've kind of been cleared from the life vest. But otherwise, like my kids know it's the rule that when they leave the lake house to walk down to the boat, they have to have those life vests on.
Yes, absolutely. Another one that's good for pools and lakes. We say to have multiple barriers between your children and the bodies of water during non-swimming time. So like if you have child lock doors, or I know some houses now even have like alarms where you can set it if you're all inside and if when no one's supposed to be going outside, and like an alarm will sound if like your child goes outside just to make you aware. Or fences. We also have a lake house in Wisconsin. We need to connect about this later, Sheena.
Yes.
And we just put up a fence that blocks the kids from going down to the next level to be near the lake, because I too am like, I have nightmares about this. So having those barriers
we had a family friend they have twins, and it was like the mom's worst nightmare, but thank God the kids were wearing the life vest, but one of the twins fell between the pier and the boat. And luckily it was small enough that it was one of those life vests that's got like the handles that we just yanked him right back up. And it actually happened twice in the same day.
Oh my gosh.
I think he just like wasn't watching his footing and was too close to the edge. But I think it just speaks to how important those are, because you never know when something's going to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like really scary. We have so many pools here and we're hearing about it now that it's the season. Honestly, like so sadly, we lost 2 children that were like on the news last week, separate occasions on the same day. It's like so scary. It's happening so frequently. Drowning is the number 1 cause of death for children ages 1 to 4, accidental cause of death. So it's a really real statistic. And yeah, it's important to think about these things and things we don't normally think about throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
We
Are
also,
there different tips that you have for like families who are going to the beach and things like that, where it's a little bit more like an open body of
Mm,
water? I think my own anxiety gets the best of me with beaches, and Jenny knows how I feel about them. I'm not a big fan.
yeah.
Jenny is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what are some safety tips for when you're going to the beach?
Yeah. I have the same anxiety that you do. I think the number one thing, even if your kids are strong swimmers, you need to have, we call it like a water guardian, designate at least one adult to be watching the kids at all times. So like have that person like stand at the edge of the water, have eyes on all of the kids, have no distractions, no phones, not talking to someone else, and like switch that person out every 10-15 minutes. But having like one designated person, you're almost, you're like the lifeguard. Um,
Yeah.
Especially when you're at the beach and there may not be a lifeguard. But just having that one adult, I would say, watching the kids is so important. And again, even if they're playing, making sure the kids that can't swim obviously have flotation devices, even if they're not all the way in the water and they're playing in the sand, I think is an extra layer of safety.
I feel like, I mean, I was a lifeguard through like high school and college. And I think that's also why I love the beach so much. I wasn't a lifeguard at a beach because that actually made me more anxious than being at a pool. But I do love the beach, and my kids love the beach too. And I mean, the Chicago area, like the beach is the place to go and it's fun. And I do love what you were just saying of like putting down our devices as adults and like being present. There's also something so positive in that, not just having to like worry about what's happening with your kids. Like, I think that's obviously a big pro, and you should be always have your eyes on your kids near water. But it's nice to like kind of be forced in a way to be present and to make
Yeah.
sure that you're not getting distracted and you can enjoy those moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good advice.
I would say the same advice for people with pools too. Like we just went to our neighbor's house the other day and all of their kids are older than ours. So ours were not in the water, but their kids were swimming and no one was watching. And I'm talking like, they were like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. And I said something, I'm like, you guys, like, they're not my kids. And I want to
Yeah.
be a water guardian right now, but like someone should be watching the pool because yes, they're fine, but it takes, everything can happen in a minute. And yeah, so it's super important in pools too, even when your kids know how to swim, to make sure that there's at least one adult watching the pool at all times. I feel like that's like my number one, rule when we're around water for sure.
Mhm.
I feel like I like that point too, of even if the kids know how to swim, just to have, you never know what could happen, to just have someone kind of on guard, being that extra set of eyes just in case. So
Think certain things we tell kids, if this is helpful, like if there's a group of kids and one of the children is in distress, it's important to let your kids know to never jump in after them. Oftentimes kids will bring other kids down. So like a
Yeah.
child in distress may grab onto someone else and they can't support their friend or sibling, whatnot.
yeah.
So to throw a flotation device to them and then go get a parent. So it might be worth always having some sort of flotation device at the end of your dock, maybe. So if kids ever need it, like they have it there to throw to a friend and they can go get an adult to help out with the situation. But we always remind them it's super important. We say throw, don't go.
Oh, that's a good way to remember that.
Yeah, good little rhyme.
Yeah.
Dana, people, I don't know if I was clear about this, but like I said that you weren't in the Chicagoland area anymore and you're in your car, but you
Yeah.
found your way to Arizona.
Yes.
How did you even get involved with Goldfish in the first place? And then how did you become like you're running it and now you're running it from afar? Tell us a little bit about your backstory of how you got to where you are.
Yeah. So I actually had a near drowning experience when I was 4 at a
So
beach.
scary.
I know, in North Carolina. And I was like so scarred. I hated the water after that. My mom insisted that she put her and my older sister in lessons immediately after that. And again, I was like the kid that was crying during lessons weeks after weeks after weeks. And I ended up loving lessons like a couple months in, and I loved swimming, and I ended up swimming throughout high school. And in high school, I actually was a swim instructor at the very first Goldfish location.
Oh,
my senior year before I went to college. They opened it in Birmingham, where I'm from, Birmingham, Michigan. And I was an instructor for the summer before I left for college, and just kind of kept in touch with them. And it all kind of came full circle. I swam in college at University of Arizona. So that's kind of my connection to Arizona. And then I worked out in California after college in the wine industry in marketing. And although I love wine, I was not like super passionate about what I was doing. So wanted to get back into kind of like, you know, what makes my heart happy, which was swimming and water safety. So I ended up moving to Chicago and opening the swim school in Park Ridge, and met my husband when I was doing that, and fell in love and wanted to have a baby and also continue on with the business and open another location. So he actually quit his job and joined me. He does all the stuff that I don't like to do, like finance and accounting and
Yes.
all of that. Yeah.
Stuff
And then
out of the water. Yeah.
yeah, yes, exactly. And I work a lot with the kids and the instructors, and just lesson quality and customer service, and get to know the parents. And yeah, I absolutely love what we do. It's difficult every day. It throws you something different, you know. But we have such an amazing team in Park Ridge. I absolutely love our management team out there. We wouldn't have moved if we didn't feel so confidently in their ability to kind of run the business with us so
Yeah.
far away. We talk to them daily, and we visit them every like other month. And then in the summer, we see them multiple times a week. So we come out to Wisconsin, and we summer in Wisconsin.
Okay.
We visit Park Ridge because we're like 2 hours away,
Yeah.
at least once a week. So we're in school, seeing families and getting in and teaching lessons when we can. And yeah,
Nice. So you have 2 kids,
yes,
is that correct?
yes.
How do you and it sounds like they're young like ours. So how do you balance being a mom of 2 young kids while also managing 2, goldfish locations?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so difficult, but thank God for my husband. So we have a 2.5-year-old and a 5-month-old, and it's difficult. You guys know, it's like you're working all day. I don't even know when my workday ends. I don't have a work week. It's like constant in a way, like, you know, your days are very fluid.
Yep.
And I lean heavily on my husband to help out. I tend to do more of I have probably more hours spent towards work than he does. But he is so wonderful, and he's at home feeding the kids right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
yeah,
fun.
it's so hard. It's like you just have to give yourself grace when you like are feeling guilty because you're not working, or feeling guilty because you're not with the kids, and just know that you're doing the best you can do.
Yeah. What are some things that you do just to focus on yourself, especially given that we're just coming off of Mother's Day weekend?
I love to work out. My husband loves to golf, which takes like 6 hours. And I'm like, I wish I had a hobby that was 6
Guys,
hours
it's
long.
so long.
Isn't it? You guys,
Our-
it's the worst.
Our husbands like to golf together, so we 100% understand this.
You know, yeah. So I wish that I had a hobby that was 6 hours at a time, but I don't.
Same.
I enjoy going to workout classes and kind of just, you know, like checking out for like an entire hour. I love hanging out with my friends. With our friends in Wisconsin, we were the last ones to have kids. Our friends in Arizona, we were like the first ones to have kids. So I love hanging out with my girlfriends here. Sometimes it's hard because not all of them can relate to like what we're going through.
Yeah.
But
Maybe one day, and then you'll be like,
I know I'm like constantly, I'm like, okay, who's ready?
ready?
Yeah.
Come on. You could, this is a lot of fun. Come
Friends.
join us over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other big water tips that we should think about?
I feel like the only other one I didn't directly mention, I guess, is swim lessons. And we obviously encourage kids to get in swim lessons year round. I think a lot of parents, and we deal with it in Arizona and Park Ridge, think, oh, we don't have to get in swim lessons until like right before the summer, but that's not at all the case. Like at that point, you're too late.
Yeah.
Kids need to be working on those essential life-saving skills all year round so they don't forget it. It's like reading and writing. So Swim lessons are super important. Swim lessons actually reduce the risk of drowning by 88%, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's just talking about water safety and getting them to practice those skills are super important.
Yeah, I feel like when we signed up my boys for their swim lessons, we started in the summer thinking like, let's get them in early. We need them to be comfortable with the water given the lake house. And at the end of the summer, my husband was like, okay, well, now what are we going to sign them up for? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, no, they're doing swim lessons year round. And he was like, what? And I kind of just reiterated my anxiety around the water, and wanting them to be comfortable and making sure, I felt like that repetitive practice would help them with their, not just water safety, but then also learning eventually how to swim. So I think that that's really important.
Yeah. A lot of parents don't think about that, but again, we have young kids. My daughter, I think, will be in swim lessons until she is like a competitive swimmer.
Yeah.
And until then, we'll rotate out the other activities. We're doing like little gym right now. And then we hope to do like soccer and like other things, but swimming will be the constant for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I will admit that mine are not in year round. And now I'm like, no, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to switch up. Like they're signed up. I'm the one who's like, I signed them up for summer.
Yeah.
They did it previous summers, but I'm like, we just went to Florida not too long ago, and my daughter is very confident in herself and her skills. She already knows how.
Mm-hmm.
She does not know how yet how to swim on her own. She just doesn't. And I'm like, you're the one who's going to cause me like a lot of heart palpitations.
Yep.
So I'm like, no, this is like you just said, Dana, this is going to be your new constant. Is that you're going to go to swim lessons?
Yeah. Goldfish actually this year, this is interesting, we recently commissioned a study, and 57% of parents said they plan to spend time this summer, like around water, whether that be lakes, pools, whatever. And only 30%, 33% actually feel confident in their children's ability to swim.
Yeah.
So it's just so important. And I bet you a lot of these people aren't in swim lessons too, because you just don't know. Like you said, you think like getting them in for the summer is enough, but sadly it's not with like.
No, I definitely, again, admittedly, I know it's not enough because I see her and it's not like she's doing like the front crawl like a pro. But it is also interesting when other like family members will see her in her like the little floaty devices and they're like, oh, she's good to go. And I'm like, no, you still have to watch her because she does not know how to swim, and wearing floaties does not equal swim skills.
Totally.
So it's like, just again, pieces to think about when we're always wanting the best for our kids and making sure that they're safe.
Yeah.
It's swim lessons.
Yeah.
Around water.
I know. I wish I go to all these pediatrician visits now, and like my daughter again is 2.5, and I've never once been asked if we're in swim lessons.
I was thinking
ask me if she wears a helmet. Like you don't ask me if she's in swim lessons. And
right. And as they get older, they ask like, are they learning how to ride a bike? Like,
why
aren't we asking about swim lessons too? That's a really good point.
All the doctor moms out there, all the pediatricians, spread the word.
Add it to your questionnaires.
Yeah.
So with it being Water Safety Awareness Month, it sounds like there's actually a really cool contest that's going on with Goldfish. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are raffling off 3 free months of swim lessons. And again, like you mentioned earlier, there are 14 Goldfish Swim Schools in the greater Chicagoland area. So it is good for any of these locations. So if you want to find the location nearest you, you can do that. And to enter the contest, I believe it is www.goldfishswimschool.com/Chicagoland.
Yep, and I'll put that in the show notes.
Perfect. Yeah, and so you can go in and enter your information to be entered to win 3 free months of lessons, which is awesome. That's huge. That's a quarter of the year.
Yeah, that's huge. And then you guys are also giving back this month with Water Safety Awareness Month. So you guys are giving back to the Sigma Gamma Rho Foundation's Swim 1922 initiative. that gives access and provides swim lessons for deserving populations. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you. I know we're so excited about it. We've been looking for the right kind of partner to be able to give back to. And once we heard about them and read their story, we feel like it's the perfect fit. And we are, super excited to give back and get a lot of children into swim lessons that maybe couldn't afford them.
That's
awesome.
great.
I don't know if we've mentioned, but every single location in the Chicagoland area does give free trial swim lessons. So if you're looking for a place to do swim lessons and you're not sure where you want to go, reach out to the Goldfish Swim School nearest you, and they'd be happy to have you in for a free trial lesson just to test us out.
When I'm thinking about like my kids becoming, I mean, like I said, I love the water. And obviously I want my kids to love the water too and like be safe around the water. If you sign your child up for a swim lesson, are they like, is it individual? Is it like a small group? What if like they don't vibe well with the instructor?
Yeah.
Kind of like the flexibility or like the structure around that piece.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great question. So we have flexible scheduling. So if you sign up with us and like if your child didn't vibe with the teacher, just
Yeah.
let someone know and we can get you guys in a different day and time. That's totally fine. We have a ton of different teachers that hopefully meet all of the different needs that children have. So our teachers are awesome. Obviously I'm biased, but
Great.
but totally, I get it. Some kids like don't want male instructors. So if you let us know that, we'll make sure that we get you with a female instructor. And you can even tell us when you're talking to us, like about your child's like demeanor, and maybe we'll try to get you with someone that we think would best suit you guys too. So flexible scheduling. If you ever miss a lesson too, it's pretty awesome. You can mark yourself absent on our app or just give us a call. Let us know you're not coming in and you'll receive a makeup on your account. So you never lose a lesson that you pay for. And you can book your makeups all by yourself on your app too, which is pretty awesome.
Oh,
As
that's
well,
convenient.
you don't have to, I know it's super convenient. So when late at night, when we're not open and you're thinking about it, you can do it yourself because we know how mom works.
Yes.
That is 100% how my brain works.
Yeah.
And is it
Oh,
again,
and
put that in there. Is it like private, like one-on-one? Is it small group? Does that change as kids get older? Or do you have like the option?
yeah, so our mini lessons, so the lessons where the parents in the water, there's 6 kids per one instructor, just because you have parents to be doing manipulations and everything. As soon as they turn 3, they're in a lesson that is 4 kids per one instructor. That's if the lesson is full, which a lot of lessons aren't full too, depending on the time and day that you guys, choose to go to. But group lessons are actually really awesome. The kids learn so much from each other. I feel like conquer fears sooner watching each other do it. And it's just so good for socialization too. So we do have group lessons depending on the Goldfish Swim School nearest you. Some of them do offer private lessons if that is what you're looking for. But I know not all of the locations do.
Yeah.
And then I do believe that all of our locations also have our Golden Learners program, which is a private lesson for children with special needs. So we have teachers specific that have experience with kids with special needs, teaching those one-on-one lessons. And we vary from our curriculum a little bit depending on that child's needs and just really cater the lesson to that child. So that's also, I think, a unique thing about Goldfish Swim School too.
I don't think I realized that about Goldfish. And I think both Jenny and I, having worked in special education, that obviously is something that's important to us. So that's awesome.
It's all really good information. And going back to the babies, again, maybe it's just because I'm about to have a baby.
Yeah.
The lesson that you're talking about with like 6 kids and their parents, is that different from like you see these kids in their like clothes swimming, like the life skills? I'm blanking on the actual term for it.
ISR.
Yes.
Yes, that is a great question. So
what is ISR?
It's like infant
survival rescue or infant,
yeah. Or like
survival resource.
The idea is like they're in their clothes and like you basically like put your kid in and it's like they learn how to turn over. That sounds different than what Goldfish is doing with like the group lesson.
Yep. So ISR is very much focused on, I think it's usually like a couple week program, and it's teaching your child to have the natural instinct to roll over
Yeah.
and float until someone saves them. And it's a very intense swim program, I would say, just because it's teaching a newborn child that safety skill in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. It seems really
And
like a lot. I could see that if like if I was, again, I know people who have done it and they
yeah,
like it's been wonderful.
yes,
Me,
absolutely.
it seems like a little daunting as a parent. Whereas like I'd be more inclined to do like a group, like a class, and have it be fun and introduce water that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. So I know there's like, I feel like people either feel very strongly towards ISR or not at all. Um, as a parent, I feel like I can't do it, but I know we don't have a pool in our backyard. And if we did have a pool, I don't know how I would feel. Maybe we would do ISR. But what I will say is that you get kids coming out of ISR that can be safe in the water right away. And that can be totally fine. They can have a great relationship with water, or you see kids that are now fearful of the water because of that experience.
Oh, interesting.
So we always say that Goldfish is kind of a great addition to ISR. If you do ISR, yes, your child knows how to float, but they still don't know other life-saving skills and they don't know how to swim. So, and Goldfish, we teach kids through guided play. We know that's how they learn best. So it is a good add-on if your child might be fearful from the water after ISR to do something like Goldfish, because it is more fun and they get to learn to have that love for the water and that like
Yeah.
positive relationship with the water. So if you do ISR, I would definitely recommend another program that brings fun into the equation. And if ISR is not for you, yes, Goldfish. It is a slower process, just getting the kids acclimated to the water, getting them to have a positive, association with water, getting them to love the water, but also learning those safety skills.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I loved about Goldfish, because we did it when my kids were little, was I felt like by being in the water, I also had some control over the situation that ISR, I don't know that my anxiety could handle it, because I feel like a loss of control when you're doing that. So I appreciated kind of like the slow, gentle, like easing into the water safety skills and like the infant tot classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way also in our lessons.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing that popped into my mind, well, maybe not the last, because this is what happens. We talked a lot about like pools and beaches, but I feel like a lot of times, or what's becoming popular too, is like these little backyard pools or like splash pads. Anything that comes to mind for like maybe not this like huge body of water, but these things where maybe again they're still near water, things could happen.
Yeah. I would honestly say same rules apply. And yes, even if it's like only a couple inches of water, does your child need a life jacket? No, but a child can drown in an inch of water. So making sure that you or someone is watching wherever the body of water is and watching the kids at all times is still number one. It's same thing for bath too. Like, oh my gosh, when we had our baby and I was doing bath time, I was a Nazi locking the bath door from like, so no one could get in while it was filling. Like we're washing dishes, my worst nightmare is our daughter like going in the bathtub when we're not paying attention and we're out in the living room. So bathtub safety is similar to like having a little blow up pool or something in the backyard. Is just like, if you're going to have it and if there's going to be water in it, you need to be on your game.
Yeah.
Good question.
Any last questions, Jenny?
No, I think I'm sure something will come to me later. But no. I just think it's so important. I mean, I said this at the beginning, but I love that we can bring this awareness to people.
Yes.
And even though it seems like one of those like no kidding kind of moments, like if you're around water, you should be safe. But things happen, like you said, Dana, so quickly, that it's just so important to keep that at the forefront of our minds as we're heading into summer.
I also feel like when we were kids, I couldn't tell you a single person that started swim lessons as an infant.
I know.
Like, I don't think I started till I was like 7.
I know. I don't even think there were programs though. I think that's the thing. Like, I know the story of how the owners of Goldfish started, and it was because there was no program that, started the kids that early, even though it was like such a clear necessity with
Yeah.
kids dying of drowning like so early in life. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
weird.
I just think it's so important. We started, my oldest, we started a little bit later than I had anticipated just because of the pandemic. But my
Mhm.
youngest, we started right at 6 months, so
Yeah.
so important.
Awesome.
Well,
Okay,
thank
well,
you, Sheena, for
yeah.
coming on. And for anybody who is interested, please look up Goldfish Swim School. They have some great resources, some great lessons, a lot of opportunities to promote water safety.
And just a reminder, they're giving away 3 free months of lessons at each of the Chicagoland area Goldfish. So we'll put a link for that contest in the show notes and put that out on our social media. And thank you again, Dana, for coming and sharing us all of your wisdom for Water Safety Awareness Month.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all of the latest, you can follow us on Instagram @_and then we had kids. Thanks again. And like we say, life used to be carefree, and then we had kids.